Disclaimer: this content is intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised. It all started on a warm Thursday afternoon, the kind of day that makes you pause for a second longer in front of a window, chasing a breeze that never comes. My name's Ul, and this is not just a story about temptation. It's a story about awakening. About finding something or someone you didn't know you were missing, hidden in the most ordinary of places. The garden had always been my wife Jenna's escape, her sacred space. But recently, even the sunniest blooms couldn't pull her out of the storm she'd been stuck in. We stopped touching. Stopped laughing. It was like we were stuck playing roommates in a house full of silence. The smiles were polite. The conversations shallow. And in between it all was this growing ache I didn't know how to explain or where to take. Then came Marie, our new gardener. Hired after Jenna gave up pruning roses and started pruning people out of her life. Marie was different. Not just in the way she looked, sun-kissed skin, easy laugh, and hands that moved like they understood everything the earth was trying to say, but in the way she saw me. Like she actually saw me. At first, it was just passing glances over the porch railing, a casual hand brushing mine when she passed the watering can. But those moments started stacking up, unspoken, like a tower of things we both weren't supposed to say out loud. And I didn't say them. Not until that night. The rain had come down heavy, unexpected. Jenna was gone for the weekend, another work thing, or maybe just another reason not to be here. Marie had stayed late, soaked, her shirt clinging to her back like second skin. I offered her a towel, a drink, warmth. That's all it was supposed to be. But warmth has a way of turning into something else when you've been cold for too long. She sat on the edge of the couch, eyes dark, quiet. I remember the way she looked at me then, not with seduction, but with understanding. With permission. And something in me cracked wide open. What happened next? It wasn't planned. It wasn't careful. But it was real. And for the first time in a long time, I felt alive. Like the person I used to be before the walls went up and the silence grew roots. But here's the part no one tells you: when you let something new bloom, you don't always get to control what it grows into. Because the morning after, Jenna came home early. And she wasn't alone. This story isn't just about desire. It's about the layers we hide behind, the secrets we bury deeper than any flower bed. And how sometimes, the most dangerous things, grow in the open. So don't blink. Because what comes next will change everything. Jenna's heels hit the floor like a slow warning. Click. 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 Marie froze beside the kitchen island, hair still damp, her gaze flicking toward the hallway like she already knew what was coming. I didn't move. I couldn't. My breath caught in my throat as Jenna's voice called out, too cheerful to be real. "Oh. Thought I'd surprise you." I could feel Marie's eyes on me, waiting for me to say something, to do something. But I was still lost in the weight of what we'd done. The room smelled like rain and jasmine, and beneath it, something electric. Something we couldn't scrub away. I stepped forward, voice steady but hollow. "You're back early." Jenna appeared in the doorway, suitcase in hand. Her smile faltered just a second when she saw Marie. She didn't say anything right away. Just looked. First at me, then at her, then back again. She wasn't stupid. Jenna never was. Marie picked up the rag she'd been using to dry the counters, her hand moving in slow, distracted circles. "I was just finishing up," she said softly, not looking up. "Didn't know gardeners stayed this late," Jenna replied, eyes narrowing just slightly, like she was tugging at a loose thread, waiting to see what unraveled. "I offered her tea," I said quickly. Too quickly. The lie felt sour in my mouth. Jenna said nothing, just walked past us, the wheels of her suitcase scraping against the floor. Then came the silence. Heavier now. Like all three of us were holding our breath, waiting to see who would flinch first. That night, the house felt different. Marie was gone, but her presence lingered like perfume on a coat. I lay beside Jenna in bed, neither of us touching. Her breathing was even, But her eyes weren't closed. Something had shifted. Whether she knew or only suspected, it didn't matter, there was a crack in the surface now. And underneath it, something darker was beginning to stir. The next morning, Jenna made breakfast like nothing had happened. Eggs. Toast. Coffee just the way I liked it. But every word between us felt rehearsed. Every glance carried a question that neither of us dared to ask. And then she said it. So casually, I almost missed it. I'm thinking of hiring Marie full-time. You two seem comfortable. The knife paused in my hand. I looked up. She was smiling. But it didn't reach her eyes. ChatGPT said. I didn't answer her right away. Just stared at her across the table while the toast went cold on my plate. Jenna's smile stayed frozen, her fingers lightly tapping the ceramic mug like she was keeping time with a song only she could hear. Full-time? I asked, finally. She nodded, casual. The garden's thriving for the first time in months. And it's not just the flowers. The whole place feels alive again. You've noticed it too, haven't you? Her voice was calm, but there was something in the way she said it. Like every word had another meaning hiding underneath. I nodded slowly, unsure whether to play along or pull away. Marie hadn't texted since last night. She usually did, even just a thank you or a sleepy emoji. But now, silence. I checked my phone under the table. Nothing. Jenna stood up to refill her coffee. Her robe shifted just enough for me to catch the tattoo on her back, something I'd forgotten she even had. A crescent moon between her shoulder blades. Once, I used to kiss that spot every morning. Now, I couldn't even look at it without feeling like a stranger. Later that day, I walked the garden alone. It still smelled like her. Like earth, lavender, and faint touches of something warm and human. The beds were blooming in perfect order, but nothing about the place felt peaceful. I noticed a pair of gloves left out near the fence. Marie's. She'd never leave them behind. I picked them up and stood there for a long time, staring at the soil. By evening, Jenna was in a mood light, laughing a little too loud. She made dinner like we hadn't been drifting for months. She asked about work, old friends, even mentioned a weekend getaway. Somewhere quiet, she said. Just us. But I saw it in her eyes. She wasn't trying to save anything. She was watching. Calculating. I couldn't sleep. Around midnight, I grabbed my coat and walked out back. I told myself I just needed air, but the truth was I wanted to see if Marie had come back for the gloves. Instead, I found something else, her necklace, caught on the edge of a bush near the gate. I recognized it instantly. Small silver chain with a tiny glass charm, shaped like a teardrop. She never took it off. I held it in my hand and looked around, but the garden was empty. Still. The next day, Jenna left early. Said she had errands, something about new patio furniture. I waited 5 minutes after the car pulled away before dialing Marie's number. Straight to voicemail. I tried again. Same. Then I noticed the window blinds in the guest house, barely tilted. As if someone had been standing behind them, watching. That's when it hit me. Maybe I wasn't the only one keeping secrets. Maybe Marie wasn't just the gardener. And maybe Jenna already knew everything. The next few hours passed in a haze. I paced from room to room, Marie's necklace clenched tight in my palm like a secret I didn't know what to do with. I couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. It wasn't just the silence or the missing messages, it was deeper. Like the house itself had started holding its breath. By late afternoon, the sky turned a dull grey, clouds thick and low, the kind that hang heavy like they're waiting to burst. I checked the guest house door. Locked. No sign of anyone inside. But the blinds had moved. I was sure of it. I knocked twice, soft, hesitant. Nothing. Back inside, I found a folded note on the hallway table. My name on the front, in Jenna's handwriting. I opened it slowly. Dinner tonight. Just us. No distractions. No signature. Just that. The pit in my stomach grew. When she returned at sunset, she looked radiant, hair done, dress flowing like she'd stepped out of a memory. She lit candles. Played that old jazz record we hadn't touched in years. And when she kissed me on the cheek, it lingered a moment too long. But the air between us wasn't warm. It was charged. Like something was waiting to spark. Marie still hadn't called back. Not a single word. I checked my phone again under the table. Blank. Jenna saw. She didn't say anything, but the smile she gave me then, soft and slow, chilled me more than if she'd screamed. We ate in near silence, the clinking of cutlery echoing in the corners. Halfway through, Jenna finally looked up. Funny how a garden can change things, huh? I nodded, throat dry. Funny how people do too. Her words hung in the air, and for a moment, I swore I saw something shift in her eyes. Something cold. Knowing. Then the lights flickered, just once. Jenna looked toward the window. Her smile widened. You should check the guest house, before dessert. My heart dropped. Before I could move, she was already standing, pouring more wine. Calm. Like nothing had happened. Like this wasn't the beginning of something unraveling. But I knew then, she hadn't just guessed. She'd planned something. And Marie might still be here. I stood frozen, Jenna's words echoing in my head, you should check the guest house, Her voice had been calm, but the way she said it wasn't a suggestion. It was a test. Or a trap. She turned away, humming softly as she topped off her wine, acting like everything was normal. Like this was just another quiet evening at home. But everything in me knew it wasn't. I walked slowly toward the back door, the air around me thick with tension. I could feel her watching from behind, even though I didn't turn around. The backyard felt colder now, darker than it should have been. The wind had picked up, rustling the leaves like whispers. I reached the guest house and paused. The door was still locked, but something was different. The curtains inside were drawn tighter now, and for a second, I thought I saw movement behind them. A shadow. A shift. I knocked once, louder this time. Marie? I whispered. No response. I reached under the mat. Jenna kept a spare key there. Always had. When I turned the lock and pushed open the door, the lights were already on. The air inside was warm. Lived in. But empty. At least, that's what I thought until I saw the journal. It was sitting on the small table near the window. A soft leather cover, cracked and worn. I picked it up slowly. Marie's handwriting danced across the first page in careful cursive. It wasn't just gardening notes. It wasn't even about the flowers. It was about me. Every page was filled with observations, thoughts, feelings, things she never said out loud. She'd been watching me for weeks before we ever spoke. Tracking my routines. My moods. Even my arguments with Jenna. And then it got stranger. There were pages she'd written, about Jenna. About how she'd met her. Before she was hired. I flipped faster. The pieces started snapping into place in the worst way. Marie hadn't just stumbled into our lives. She'd been brought in, handpicked. By Jenna. A knock behind me made me jump. I spun around. Jenna stood in the doorway, arms crossed, wineglass in hand. You weren't supposed to find that so soon, she said softly, stepping inside. But maybe it's better this way. I stared at her, heart pounding. What is this? She smiled. Not kindly. A test. One we both failed. The floor beneath me felt unsteady. You knew. You planned all of this. Jenna tilted her head. Not all of it. Just enough to know who you really are when no one's watching. And then she stepped aside. And Marie walked in. Alive. Quiet. But different. Her expression wasn't soft like before. It was hard. Focused. Like she wasn't here to fix the garden anymore. She was here for something else. Something final. Marie's eyes met mine, but they weren't the same eyes that once lingered on my hands in the garden, or the ones that searched my face that rainy night on the couch. They were colder now. Sharper. And Jenna. She didn't even look surprised. Like this moment, all of it had been building toward something only she and Marie understood. I took a step back. Someone start talking. Marie spoke first. It was supposed to be simple. Get close. Get inside your world. Find out what you really wanted. Jenna didn't flinch. And you did, she said flatly, sipping her wine. She found everything. I stared at both of them, heart pounding. So what? This was a setup. A trap. No, Marie said, softer now. It started that way. But it didn't stay that way. Jenna turned toward her slowly. You fell for her. Marie looked down. I didn't mean to. Everything inside me twisted. Why me? I asked, voice cracking. What was the point of all this? Jenna finally stepped forward. You weren't happy, You think I didn't know that? I felt it every night you couldn't look at me. Every time you laughed louder at a stranger's joke than you ever did with me. I never wanted this, I said. She smiled bitterly. Neither did I. But I needed to know the truth. About us. About you. So I gave you space to take it, and you did. I turned to Marie. And you went along with it. She looked at me, and this time there was a flicker of something real again. Until I didn't. I was supposed to report back. Notes. Observations. Jenna wanted to see if you'd break. And you did. But I broke too. I felt dizzy, like the ground itself had shifted. I couldn't tell where the manipulation ended and the truth began. Then Jenna handed me something. An envelope. Inside was divorce paperwork. Already signed. I don't hate you, she said quietly. I just don't want to be invisible anymore. To you. Or to myself. I stood there, silent. No words came. As I looked back up, Marie was gone. I rushed outside, calling her name, but only the wind answered. A week passed. No messages. No sign. Then one morning, I stepped into the garden. Her gloves were back. Folded neatly. And tucked inside them was a photo of us from that rainy night, smiling. On the back, she'd written 2 words, still watching. Days passed, and the garden became my only refuge. I watered it, trimmed it, walked it like it still belonged to Marie somehow. The gloves stayed on the bench, never moved. That photo, too, tucked in my journal now. Every time I looked at it, I remembered the warmth of her hand on mine, the storm outside, and the moment I felt alive again for the first time in years. The house was quieter than ever. Jenna moved out 2 weeks after the papers were finalized. No drama. No second thoughts. She left behind the wine glasses, the jazz records, and a short note that just said, "Be honest with yourself this time." I was. Or at least I was trying to be. Marie never came back. Not to the garden, not to the house, not even through a message. But she'd been there. The way she moved through my life, softly, like wind across a still pond, left ripples I couldn't ignore. I started writing again. Not stories. Letters. To her. I never sent them. Just wrote, folded, and left them tucked in the garden shed. One afternoon, I found another note neatly slid under the shed door. It's not over. Not if you don't want it to be. That was all. I looked up, scanning the fence line, the trees, the gate. No one. But something in the air had changed, lighter now. Like the story wasn't finished after all. Maybe Marie was still watching. Maybe waiting. And maybe, someday, she'd come back. Until then, I was here. Rebuilding. Healing. Living. And for the first time, not pretending. If this story made you feel anything, confused, angry, hopeful, drop a comment below. Would you trust Marie again? Should I let go or wait? Would you want to see what happens next?